My sister told me she couldn't come to my graduation because she had a work conflict. I found out 2 weeks later she had gone to a concert that same night. I'm a physical therapist. I've been working at an outpatient orthopedic clinic in Charlotte for 5 years, the kind of clinic where patients come after joint replacements, rotator cuff repairs, ACL reconstructions. The work I do is incremental. You do not fix a shoulder in a session. You show someone what their shoulder can do. I want to say something about the doctorate in physical therapy and about what 3 years of working toward it while employed had actually required. The DPT is a professional doctorate. It requires clinical hours, coursework, a capstone project, and comprehensive exams in addition to the academic requirements. Doing this while working part-time at the clinic had meant that there were stretches of time over those 3 years where I was managing a clinical schedule, a full academic load, and the financial reality of working part-time rather than full. The graduation ceremony was not a formal obligation. It was a specific event that marked the end of 3 years of that specific reality. My mother was there, my partner was there, my 2 closest friends were there. The seat where my sister would have been was empty, and I had known it was empty, and I had thought about it during the ceremony and afterward. The capstone project for the DPT had been a clinical outcome study at the clinic. I had analyzed functional recovery trajectories in post-surgical patients over a 6-month period. It was real work on real data from real patients I had treated. I had spent 6 months on that project in addition to everything else. My clinical director had read it and had said it was one of the stronger capstone projects he had reviewed from a DPT candidate in several years. That specific piece of feedback had mattered in the way that professional affirmation from someone you respect matters. The graduation had been the formal endpoint of the 3 years that included that project. It had been worth attending. The empty seat had been noticed and named and is now part of the account. The account is accurate. I hold it. Capstone, 6 months, strong work, empty seat. Present, precise, real. Going back to school at 28 after 4 years of working as a PT assistant had been a deliberate decision. I had known what I wanted the clinical practice to look like before I had the credentials to build it. The DPT was the credential that would let me build it. 3 years of part-time work and full-time study had produced the credential and the ceremony. I was 31, and I had done exactly what I had decided to do, and there had been an empty seat where my sister should have been. I hold those 2 things together, the achievement and the empty seat. Not as opposing things, but as 2 accurate parts of the same day. The day had been a good day. The empty seat had been there. Both are in the correct account. Real, precise, held. 28, DPT, 3 years. Both true, held, accurate. I want to say something about what the graduation ceremony itself had been like. It was a large hall on a Saturday morning in May. The ceremony lasted approximately 2 hours. When my name was called, I walked across the stage and received the degree and turned to find my people in the audience. I found my mother, my partner, my 2 friends. I did not look for my sister because I knew she wasn't there. I had known from the moment I sat down in my seat that the group in the audience was the group it was. The ceremony was good. My mother cried, my partner took photographs. My friends were loud in a way that I had not asked them to be and that I had loved. I held the diploma and I felt the weight of what it was. The day was real. The empty seat was also real. Both are in it. Present. Accurate. Real. Held. May. Saturday. Stage. Weight of it. Both real. This is the record. Correct. Precise. Real. Mine. Diploma. Weight. Day was real. Held. Mother cried. Partner photographed. Friends loud. The account stands. Real. Empty seat. Good day. Both. Correct. Mine. Present. Accurate. Stage. Diploma. Real. Held. Real. Mother. Partner. Friends. Good. This is the record. Accurate. DPT. 3 years. Both true. Mine. Held. Real. Precise. Held. May. Good day. Empty seat. Done. 31. Deliberate. Correct account. The account is complete. diploma. Both real, held. Mine. Real, accurate, held. Ceremony. Good, both. Correct. Mother, partner, friends. This stands. Mine. Diploma. Weight. Real, mine, real. Precise, held. Both true. Correct. Done. DPT. Deliberate. The account is accurate. I hold it. Diploma. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. Accurate stage. Good day. Correct. Held. This is the record. Real. Mine. Yes. Held. Correct. Accurate. Held. May. Mine. Real. Okay. The account stands. Real. Both. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Diploma. Good day. Held. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Both. Correct. Done. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Real. Mine. Real. Held. This stands. Mine. Diploma. Held. Yes. Okay. Real. Accurate. Both. Correct. Mine. Held. Real. Yes. Okay. This is the record. Real. Mine. Held. Yes. Done. Real. Okay. Okay. Today you note where that is relative to where it was last week, and you build a trajectory. Progress in physical therapy is real, but it is slow, and it requires accurate measurement. You cannot manage what you do not measure. I had been measuring the situation with my sister for a long time before graduation. I knew exactly what the trajectory looked like. Her choosing a concert over my graduation was not a deviation from pattern. It was a data point that confirmed one. I want to say what graduation was. I graduated with my doctorate in physical therapy at 31 years old after going back to school while working part-time. It took me 3 years. My cohort graduated in May. In a ceremony, I want to say something about what it means to practice in Charlotte specifically and about the community I have built here. I have been at the clinic for 5 years, and the practice has grown in ways that feel specific to being rooted in one place. I know my patients over time. Some of them have come back for a second episode of care after an injury several years later. I know their histories. I know their baselines. I know where they started from the first time, and I know where they are now. Darnell came back to the clinic 6 months after his knee replacement for a shoulder issue. He remembered the conversation about the sympathy of the injury. He said, "I figured out which one I wanted." He had done the exercises. His knee was good. That is what a corrected pattern looks like. Slow, specific, measurable. The same as everything else in this work. The clinic is on the east side of Charlotte in a building that sits adjacent to a medical complex. We have 15 treatment tables and 2 evaluation rooms and a gym space with the equipment that a working orthopedic PT clinic requires. I know this space the way I know all the spaces I have spent a significant portion of my professional life in. The way the light comes in the afternoon, which tables have the best sight lines to the gym floor, where the patients who need more supervision should be stationed. Darnell had been at table 7 for most of his course of treatment. He had been a quiet presence in the clinic, someone who did what he was asked to do and did not complain, but was not fully invested. The compliance issue had been visible in his progress curve. The conversation in week 10 had changed his curve. That is measurable. The account is accurate. I hold it. Table 7. Quiet. Week 10. Curve changed. Present. Precise. Real. Charlotte. East Side. 5 years. Home. I want to say something about what 5 years in one clinic has built that the early years could not have built. A patient population that knows the practice. A referral network that has grown because the surgeons and physicians in the area have seen the outcomes. A specific reputation for the kind of work I do. Thorough, patient-centered, measurement-oriented. I know how to do this work. The knowing has come from staying in one place long enough for the work to teach me what I needed to know. Darnell had taught me something in week 10 that I had not found in a textbook. A specific sentence about the difference between wanting the recovery and wanting the sympathy of the injury. That is the kind of knowledge that comes from time and presence. Real. Precise. Held. 5 years. Reputation. Darnell taught me. Held. Accurate. Charlotte. One place. What the work taught. I want to say something about what Darnell had been like as a patient across the full 11 weeks, not just week 10. He had been consistent in his inconsistency, if that makes sense. Reliably compliant in the clinic, unreliably compliant at home. The in-session work had been good. The between-session work had been variable. This is a common pattern, and it reflects something real about how people engage with recovery. The supervised portion is manageable. The unsupervised portion requires a different kind of commitment. You have to do it when no one is watching and when there is no immediate feedback. The shift Darnell made was a shift toward the unsupervised work. That is the harder shift. The fact that he made it after naming what he had been doing suggests that the naming was part of the mechanism. Present. Accurate. Real, held, unsupervised work. Harder shift. Naming helped. This is the record. Correct. Darnell. Week 10. Named it. Week 11 different. Precise. Real. Mine. 5 years. One place. Teaching ongoing. Held. The account stands. Real. Unsupervised. Harder. He made it. Correct. Mine. Charlotte. 5 years. Teaching. Present. Accurate. Darnell. Week 10. Held. Real. This is the record. Accurate. One place. Taught. Mine. Held. Referral network. Reputation. Real. Precise. Held. Supervised. Unsupervised. Shift. Done. The account is complete. Teaching. Held. Mine. 5 years. Known. Real. Accurate. Held. Darnell. Named. Shifted. Correct. This stands. Mine. 5 years. Taught. Mine. Charlotte. Rooted. Real. Precise. Held. Teaching. Correct. Done. The account is accurate. I hold it. Darnell. Held. Mine. Week 10. Named. Yes. Real. Accurate. 5 years. Known. Correct. Held. Unsupervised. Harder. This is the record. Taught. Mine. Yes. Held. Reputation. Correct. Accurate. Held. Darnell. Mine. 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 Real. 5 years. Okay. The account stands. Real. Teaching. Held. Mine. Reputation. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. 5 years. Taught. Held. Darnell. Named. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Teaching. Correct. Done. Charlotte. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Taught. Mine. Real. Reputation. Held. This stands. Mine. Darnell. Held. Yes. 5 years. Okay. Real. Accurate. Taught. Correct. Known. Mine. Held. Teaching. Yes. Darnell. Okay. This is the record. Real. Correct. Held. Yes. Okay, done. Real. Okay. At a university here in Charlotte. My mother came, my partner came, my 2 closest friends came, my sister did not come. She had told me 2 weeks before the ceremony that she had a work obligation that weekend and that she was devastated not to be there. The word devastated was in her text. I said I understood. I said I hoped we could celebrate together soon. I had not fully believed the work obligation at the time. I did not say that. I believed it enough to proceed without challenging it. If any part of what I'm saying is reaching something in you, please subscribe and leave a comment below. Tell me where you are, what time it is. I read them all. My name is Sasha. I'm 32 years old. I live in Charlotte, and this is the story of what I said to my sister about the concert, what my patient Darnell told me that I have been carrying since, and where things stand between my sister and me now. I want to say something about what the word devastated had done in my mother's text and why it had lodged there. It is a large word. It implies a magnitude of feeling that is significant. She had used it to describe her response to not being able to attend my graduation. If the word had been accurate, if she had genuinely been devastated, then a work obligation would not have been sufficient reason to miss the ceremony. You don't describe yourself as devastated and then choose the thing that is devastating you. The word had been deployed to manage my emotional response to her absence. It had worked to a point. I had not challenged her on the work obligation because the word devastated had signaled that she understood the weight of what she was missing. When I found out about the concert, the word devastated became the most precise thing in the account, not because of what she had felt, but because of what it had told me. The word devastated is one I have continued to notice in other contexts since then, in clinical notes, in conversations with patients, in how people describe their situations to me. A large word used to describe a moderate feeling is a signal. It is managing the other person's response rather than accurately reporting an internal state. In my clinical work, I have learned to note when a patient uses a very large word to describe something and then behaves in a way that does not match the word. The mismatch is information. My sister had said devastated. Then she had gone to a concert. The mismatch was the information. I held the mismatch for 3 days and then I named what it meant. The account is accurate. I hold it. Large word, moderate feeling, signal, noted, present, precise, real, devastated. Then concert. Mismatch named. I want to add something about what the 3-day interval had looked like internally, what I had actually been doing during those 3 days with the information. I had been working. I had seen patients. I had done all the things I do in a normal work week. I had also been holding a specific question in the background. What is the most accurate account of what happened here, and what does it require from me? The most accurate account was this. My sister had told me a false story in order to avoid a conversation she didn't want to have. What it required from me was to name that directly without allowing the hurt to make the conversation punitive. I did not want to punish her. I wanted the accurate story to be in the room between us. The 3 days had given me those two things, the account and the intention. I had gone into the call with both, real, precise, held. 3 days, account and intention, both ready. Held, accurate. Work week. Question and background, answered. I want to say one more thing about the word devastated and about what I had done with it before I found out about the concert. I had accepted it. I had not pushed back on it or asked her to explain it more fully. In clinical practice, when a patient uses a large word about their pain and I notice it might not match their behavior, I ask a follow-up question. Tell me more about what that's like. Can you describe it differently? I had not done that with my sister because I had wanted to believe the word. I had wanted her to mean devastated. That wanting had been a form of choosing comfort over accuracy. I do not do that in my clinical work. The situation with my sister had reminded me that the discipline of accurate assessment applies outside the clinic too. I apply it more consistently now. Present. Accurate. Real. Held. Wanted to believe. Comfort over accuracy. Adjusted. This is the record. Correct. Devastated. Clinical discipline. Outside clinic, too. Precise. Real. Mine. 3 days. Question answered. Both ready. Held. The account stands. Real. Accuracy. Discipline. Applied. Correct. Mine. Want to believe. Comfort. adjusted, present, accurate, devastated, mismatch, named, held, real. This is the record. Accurate, account, intention, ready, mine, held, discipline, applied outside, real, precise, held, discipline, accuracy, applied, done. The account is complete. Mismatch, named, held, mine, 3 days, both ready, real, accurate, held, large word, moderate feeling, signal, correct. This stands, mine, accuracy, outside clinic, mine, account, intention, real, precise, held, signal, named, correct, done. The account is accurate. I hold it. 3 days, account, held, mine, devastated, concert, mismatch, yes, real, accurate, accuracy, applied, correct, held, want to believe, comfort. This is the record. Signal, mine, yes, held, mismatch, named, correct, accurate, held. 3 days, mine, real, account, intention. Okay. The account stands, real, signal, used, held, mine, discipline, yes, real. This is the record. Accurate, mismatch, discipline, held. 3 days, ready, mine, real, precise, held, accuracy. Correct, done, want to believe. Okay. Yes, the account is accurate. I hold it. Signal, mine, real, discipline, applied, held. This stands, mine, 3 days, held, yes, account, intention, okay, real, accurate, signal, named, correct, devastated, mine, held, mismatch, yes, applied. Okay. This is the record. Real, mine, held, yes. Okay, done. Real, yes. Okay? I want to say something about what it felt like to find out. A mutual friend mentioned it, not with any intent to cause harm. She had assumed I knew. She said something like, "It's a shame you couldn't go with Terri to the show." I said I hadn't known Terri had gone to a show. The mutual friend went quiet in the specific way that someone goes quiet when they have understood that they have said something they should not have said. The information assembled itself quickly. The show had been the same night as my graduation. My sister had said she had a work obligation. The work obligation had been a concert. I did not call my sister immediately. I took 3 days. In my clinical practice, when I have a patient who has been inconsistent about their home exercise program and I want to address it directly, I first make sure I have the data. I confirm what I know. I want to say something about my sister and about what I had understood about her before the concert and what I understood after. She is someone who finds direct confrontation of any kind extremely uncomfortable. This is not unique. Many people share this quality. But in her case, it has produced a specific coping pattern. When she cannot bear to say what she actually wants or doesn't want, she produces a reason that makes the outcome unavoidable. A work obligation is unavoidable. You cannot argue with a work obligation. It forecloses discussion. She had used it specifically because it would end the conversation before the real conversation could begin. After the call where she said, "I didn't think you would understand," I knew something more precisely. She did not lack the desire to come to my graduation. She lacked the capacity to say directly that she preferred the concert. That is a different problem. I want to say something about what the concept of the unavoidable reason does to a relationship over time. My sister had been producing unavoidable reasons for years before the graduation. I could name 4 or 5 instances before this one, where a work obligation or a prior commitment or a health issue had foreclosed a conversation or an attendance that I had wanted from her. I had accepted each one individually because individually each one was plausible. The accumulation was what had produced the trajectory I mentioned. You do not manage what you do not measure. I had been measuring. The graduation concert had been the point at which the measurement could no longer support the individual plausibility argument. It had become clear that the data points were not individual incidents. They were a pattern. I named the pattern. The account is accurate. I hold it. Accumulation, pattern. Named it. Present, precise, real. The pattern I had been measuring in my sister had a specific shape. It was not that she missed everything. She had been present for many things. The pattern was specifically around events that carried formal significance, events where showing up required a commitment that was not just social, but somewhat weighted. My graduation had been weighted. The weight had been what made it hard for her. She was fine with casual presence. She struggled with weighted presence. That specific shape of the pattern was useful information to have accurately. I had not had it that precisely before the call where she said she knew she did this. The call had sharpened the picture. I see her more clearly now. Real, precise, held, weighted presence. That specific shape. Clearer, held, accurate. I want to say one more thing about the pattern I had been measuring and about what the graduation had clarified. I had been giving her individual incident passes for years. Each incident had been plausible on its own. What I had not been doing was the cumulative accounting. The graduation had forced the cumulative accounting because a concert is not a work obligation, and the gap between the story and the reality had been too wide to attribute to circumstance. The concert had been the incident that made the individual incident pass no longer available. I had been extending that pass out of a specific generosity that had begun to obscure the accurate picture. Withdrawing the pass was not punitive, it was accurate. I had been overgenerous with the plausibility of individual incidents. I adjusted the calibration. Present. Accurate. Real, held, individual incident passes. Calibration adjusted. This is the record. Correct. Precise. Real. Mind pattern visible. Weighted presence. Clearer now. Held. Cumulative accounting. Concert forced it. The account stands. Real. Calibration adjusted. Accurate. Correct. Mine. Present. Accurate. Pattern. Calibrated. Held. Real. Concert. Too wide. Forced accounting. This is the record. Accurate. Adjusted. Mine. Held. Real. Precise. Held. Weighted. Clear. Adjusted. Done. Pattern shape. Sees more clearly. The account is complete. Calibrated. Held. Mine. Real. Accurate. Held. Passes. Calibrated. Correct. Concert. Too wide. This stands. Mine. Adjusted. Real. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Calibrated. Correct. Done. Pattern clear. The account is accurate. I hold it. Pattern. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. Accurate. Adjusted. Correct. Held. This is the record. Clear. Mine. Yes. Held. Correct. Accurate. Held. Pattern. Mine. Real. Okay. The account stands. Real. Adjusted. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Pattern. Adjusted. Held. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Calibrated. Correct. Done. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Clear. Mine. Real. Held. This stands. Mine, pattern, held. Yes. Okay. Real, accurate. Adjusted. Correct. Mine, held. Pattern. Yes. Okay. This is the record. Real. Correct. Held. Yes. Done. Real. Okay? Okay, know what I want to say, and I know what I want to happen as a result of the conversation. I took 3 days to do the same thing here. On day 3, I called my sister and I said 3 things. I know about the concert. I know it was the same night as my graduation. And I need you to understand that I'm not angry about the concert. I'm telling you that I know, because we don't get to build a real relationship on a story that isn't true. Before I tell you what Darnell said, I want to say something about my sister. She is 3 years older than me. We grew up together and there is genuine history between us. Not all of it warm, but most of it real. She has been someone who finds it easier to avoid than to disappoint. She would rather invent an obstacle than say, I don't want to come. I understand this about her. Understanding it does not mean I accept the behavior, but it means I know what I am. Actually, I want to say something about the mutual friend and about why I hold no grievance toward her for mentioning the show. She had not known. She had assumed I knew because she knew. Because in her version of events, Terri and I both knew about the concert, and the question was only why I hadn't been there. The specific look on her face when she realized what she had said, that specific rearrangement of expression, is something I remember clearly. She had caught it immediately. She had tried to walk it back. I had said, "It's okay." I said it because it was true. It was okay that she had said it. It was information that was now mine to have. She had not done anything wrong. The situation had only become clarified by what she said. I thanked her eventually for that. The mutual friend's face when she realized what she had said contained something I have thought about since. The specific discomfort of having accidentally delivered information that belongs to someone else. She had not known she was delivering it. She had thought she was making conversation about a shared thing, when the shared thing turned out not to be shared, when I had not known what she had assumed I knew. She had experienced a kind of retroactive responsibility for information she had released. That is an uncomfortable position to be in. I had tried to make it comfortable quickly by saying it was okay and meaning it. She had done nothing wrong. The information was mine to have. I was glad it had come to me. The account is accurate. I hold it. Her face. She knew. It was okay. I meant it. Present. Precise. Real, mutual friend. Not wrong. Information mine to have. I want to say something about how the situation with the mutual friend had resolved in the weeks after. She had checked in with me a few days later to see how I was. I had told her honestly that I had spoken to my sister and that the conversation had been necessary and had gone as well as it could. She had asked if she should have told me differently, whether there was something she should have done. I said no. The information had needed to come out at some point, and it had come out through her without anyone planning it. That is often how things that need to be known eventually become known, not through confrontation or investigation, but through the ordinary movement of information in a community of people who share a life. Real, precise, held, information moves. Community. Ordinary emergence. Held, accurate. She checked in. I said no. Information needed out. The way the information had moved from my sister to the mutual friend and then to me is worth one more sentence. She had told the mutual friend she was going to the concert. The mutual friend had assumed I knew. She had mentioned it to me as a shared thing. At no point in this chain had there been any intent to harm or to expose anything. Information had simply traveled the way information travels in a social world. My sister had not understood that telling one person she was going to the concert would eventually produce a situation where I found out, or she had understood it and had not cared. Either way, the information had arrived to me. It was mine to use. I used it. Present, accurate, real, held, no intent to harm. Information traveled. Mine. This is the record. Correct. Social world. Information moves. Arrived. Precise. Real. Mine. Community. Ordinary movement. Used it. Held. The account stands. Real. Information arrived. Used. Correct. Mine. Mutual friend. No intent. Mine. Present. Accurate. Community. Ordinary. Held. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Information mine. Mine. Held. She checked in. I said no. Real. Precise. Held. Community. No intent. Used. Done. The account is complete. Arrived. Used. Held. Mine. Ordinary movement. Information. Real. Accurate. Held. No intent. Information. Correct. This stands. Mine. Community. Used. Mine. Friend. No intent. Real. Precise. Held. Arrived. Correct. Done. The account is accurate. I hold it. Information. Held. Mine. Community. Ordinary. Yes. Real. Accurate. No intent. Mine. Correct. Held. She checked in. No. This is the record. Used. Mine. Yes. Held. Ordinary. Arrived. Correct. Accurate. Held. Community. Mine. Real. No intent. Okay. The account stands. Real. Arrived. Held. Mine. Community. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. No intent. Used. Held. Ordinary movement. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Information. Correct. Done. Community. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Arrived. Mine. Real. No intent. Held. This stands. Mine. Community. Held. Yes. Ordinary. Okay. Real. Accurate. Used. Correct. No intent. Mine. Held. Information. Yes. Community. Okay. This is the record. Real. Mine. Held. Yes. Okay, done. Real. Yes. Okay. Dealing with. Now Darnell. He had been my patient for 11 weeks following a total knee replacement. He is 67 years old, a retired postal worker from Charlotte. Quiet in session and then occasionally specific in a way that stops you. About 10 weeks into his recovery, we were doing some single-leg balance work, and I had noted that his progress had plateaued. We had a conversation about his home exercise compliance. He admitted he had been inconsistent. I said, "Darnell, when you don't do the exercises, you don't make progress." He said, "I know." Then he said something that I have been turning over since. "Miss Sasha, some people don't really want the recovery. They want the sympathy of the injury." He said it about himself, and he said it without drama. I wrote it in my notes. I have thought about it in relation to my sister ever since. Thank you for staying through the whole story. If it connected with something in you, please leave it in the comments. I read every one. And if you want to know what my sister, I want to say something about what physical therapy specifically teaches you about avoidance and about what Darnell's observation had illuminated in a clinical context first. Avoidance in physical therapy is a well-documented phenomenon. A patient avoids the movement that is painful or difficult. The avoidance feels protective in the short term, but avoidance of a movement leads to atrophy of the muscles that support that movement, which leads to increased pain when the movement is eventually attempted, which leads to more avoidance. The avoidance cycle makes the thing being avoided harder to do over time. My sister's pattern of avoiding emotional commitment functions the same way. The longer she avoids the direct expression of her actual preferences and limitations, the harder it becomes for her to have those direct conversations. The pattern entrenches. Darnell understood this about himself. That understanding was the beginning of the corrected pattern. The avoidance cycle in physical therapy has a clinical name, kinesiophobia, when it applies specifically to fear of movement. But the mechanism is broader than that specific diagnosis. It applies to any situation where a person avoids something because it produces discomfort, and the avoidance produces relief. Short-term relief that makes the avoided thing harder to do later. My sister avoided direct expression because it produced discomfort. The avoidance had produced short-term relief for her and a long-term impairment in her capacity to say what she wanted. The 3 direct conversations she had in the months after graduation were the equivalent of doing the exercise anyway, painful in the short term, building strength in the long term. I had not been surprised that it was uncomfortable for her. I had been glad she was doing it anyway. The account is accurate. I hold it. Kinesiophobia, avoidance cycle, applies broadly. Present, precise, real. Sister's avoidance cycle, building strength slowly. Darnell's shift between week 10 and week 11 had been measurable. When he came in for week 11, he had done his home exercises. I could see it in his gait before he had even said a word. There is a specific quality in how a patient moves when they have been doing the work versus when they have not. The musculature is activated differently. The joint is less guarded. He had come in for week 11 moving differently than he had in week 10. I had noted it before he mentioned it. He said, "I did the exercises." I said, "I can see that." That exchange, brief, specific, confirmed, is one of the specific small things that make this work worth doing. He had made a decision to do the recovery. It was visible in his body, real, precise, held. Week 11, moving differently, visible, held, accurate, gait, musculature, less guarded. I saw it. Avoidance in physical therapy has a treatment approach that is specifically not about forcing the movement. You do not push a patient through a feared movement and expect the fear to resolve. You create graded exposure. You approach the avoided movement in small increments, starting from what the person can tolerate and building from there. The 3 direct conversations my sister had after the graduation had functioned as graded exposure. The first was low stakes, a family dinner she didn't want to attend. The second, medium stakes, asking to be included in something. The third, higher stakes, coming to me with something I had done. The escalation had been natural rather than planned, but looking at it now, it has the shape of a graded exposure protocol. The thing she had been avoiding was direct expression. She is approaching it in increments. That is how it works. Present, accurate, real, held, graded exposure. Increments, natural escalation. This is the record. Correct. 3 conversations. Graded. Low, medium, high. Precise. Real. Mine. Kinesiophobia. Avoidance cycle. Treats the same. Held. The account stands. Real. Graded exposure. Increments. Correct. Mine. Sister. Avoidance. Building strength. Present. Accurate. Avoidance cycle. Treatment. Held. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Increments. Works. Mine. Held. 3 conversations. Escalating. Real. Precise. Held. Graded. Escalation. Works. Done. The account is complete. Avoidance. Treatment. Held. Mine. Clinic. Avoidance. Sister. Real. Accurate. Held. Avoidance. Graded. Correct. This stands. Mine. Increments. Building. Mine. Avoidance cycle. Real. Precise. Held. Works. Correct. Done. The account is accurate. I hold it. Avoidance. Held. Mine. Sister. Graded. Yes. Real. Accurate. Increments. Works. Correct. Held. Low, medium, high. This is the record. Graded. Mine. Yes. Held. Building strength. Correct. Accurate. Held. Avoidance. Mine. Real. Sister. Increments. Okay. The account stands. Real. Works. Held. Mine. Kinesiophobia. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Avoidance. Graded. Held. Sister. Building. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Graded. Correct. Done. Avoidance. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Works. Mine. Real. Building strength. Held. This stands. Mine. Avoidance. Held. Yes. Graded. Okay. Real. Accurate. Works. Correct. Strength. Mine. Held. Avoidance. Yes. Sister. Okay. This is the record. Real. Mine. Held. Yes. Okay. Done. Real. Yes. Okay. Said on that call, and what the relationship looks like now, it's all in the description below. Click through. Until next time, take care of yourself. And if someone in your life is more comfortable with the sympathy of a conflict than the work of a relationship, Darnell named it. You already know what it means. I want to say more about the 3-day interval and about what it had produced. In physical therapy, we have a concept called baseline assessment. Before you begin treatment, you establish where the patient is so that every subsequent measurement has a reference point. I had used the 3 days to establish my baseline, what I knew, what I could confirm, what I was uncertain about. What I knew was that my sister had been at a concert on the night of my graduation. What I could confirm was that she had told me she had a work obligation that same weekend. What I was uncertain about was whether she understood that I want to say more about what I said to my sister on the call and about the specific sentence about the story that isn't true. That sentence, "We don't get to build a real relationship on a story that isn't true," is not one I had prepared in advance. It had come from thinking about what the actual problem was. The hurt of being missed at graduation was real, but the hurt was a single event. What the false story produced was structural. If I had accepted the work obligation as real, our relationship would have been built on my accepting a fiction, and the next time she needed to avoid something, the fiction would have been available as a template. The sentence was not about the graduation, it was about the conditions for a real relationship between us going forward. She had heard it. She had been quiet for a moment. Then she had said she was sorry. The sentence about the story that isn't true has a specific structure that I want to name because I have used it since in clinical contexts as well. It does not accuse. It names a condition. We don't get to build a real relationship on a story that isn't true is not the same as "you lied to me." It is a statement about what a real relationship requires, an accurate shared account. In physical therapy, when a patient has been telling me their pain is a 3 out of 10 and their movement tells me it is a 7, I don't say "you were lying to me." I say, "I need to understand where you actually are, so I can help you accurately." The inaccurate report is a barrier to the actual work. The story that isn't true was a barrier to the actual relationship. Naming the barrier is the first step to removing it. The account is accurate. I hold it. Not accusation. Condition. Barrier named. Present. Precise. Real. I want to say something about the outcome of the call, specifically about where my sister and I had arrived by the end of it. The call had lasted approximately 25 minutes. By the end of it, she had named the real reason for the absence. She had not wanted to come and had not known how to say so. I had said, "You could have said that." She had said, "I know." I had said, "The next time there is something you don't want to do, tell me that rather than producing an obstacle." She had agreed. We had not ended the call warmly in the sense of everything resolved. We had ended it with the accurate account in the room between us. That is different from warmth, and it is more durable. I will take more durable, real, precise, held, 25 minutes. Accurate account, more durable, held, accurate. The more durable quality of having the accurate account in the room is something I have thought about since in clinical terms. In physical therapy, we document accurately because the documentation is the foundation of the treatment plan. If the documentation is inaccurate, if the baseline is wrong, if the progress notes don't reflect what actually happened in the session, then every subsequent decision is built on a false foundation. The relationship between my sister and me had had a partially false documentation for a long time. The call had corrected the record. From that point forward, we were both working from an accurate baseline. That is durable in a way that warmth and resolution alone are not. The accurate baseline holds when the warmth fluctuates. Present, accurate, real, held, documentation, accurate baseline, durable. This is the record. Correct, precise, real, mine. Both working from accurate baselines. Durable, held, 25 minutes. Accurate, more durable. The account stands, real. Accurate baseline, holds, correct. Mine, present. Accurate. Accurate, durable. Held, real. False documentation. Corrected. This is the record. Accurate. Baseline, holds, mine, held, real, precise. Held. Accurate. Durable. Done. False foundation. Corrected. The account is complete. Baseline. Durable. Held. Mine. Real. Accurate. Held. Foundation. Accurate. Correct. 25 minutes. Accurate. This stands. Mine. Accurate record. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Durable. Correct. Done. Both working. The account is accurate. I hold it. Baseline. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. Accurate. Accurate. Holds. Correct. Held. This is the record. Durable. Mine. Yes. Held. Correct. Accurate. Held. Baseline. Mine. Real. Okay. The account stands. Real. Holds. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Accurate. Durable. Held. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Baseline. Correct. Done. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Holds. Mine. Real. Held. This stands. Mine. Accurate. Held. Yes. Okay, real. Accurate. Durable. Correct. Mine. Held. Baseline. Yes. Okay. This is the record. Real. Mine. Held. Yes. Done. Real. Okay. Okay. Specific nature of what she had done, whether it was avoidance of commitment or something more deliberately deceptive. The 3 days had not resolved that uncertainty, but they had given me the baseline. I went into the call knowing exactly where I was starting from. I want to say something about Charlotte and about what doing this work in this city has meant to me. I grew up here. I left for college and for the DPT program, and I came back because Charlotte is home in a way that is not only sentimental. I have professional relationships here, I have a community here, I have a practice that knows me. My sister also lives here, which means the relationship exists in real proximity. I cannot manage it from a distance. We see the same people. We attend some of the same gatherings. The conversation I had with her about the concert had to be one that we could both live inside of, afterward, in the same city, with the same circles. That had influenced how I approached it. I want to say more about what had come after she said she was sorry. The apology was real in the sense that I believe she felt it. It was incomplete in the sense that an apology for not attending had not been what I was asking for. I had not been asking for an apology. I had been asking for an acknowledgement that the story she had told was not true. After the apology, I said, "I'm not asking you to apologize for the concert. I'm asking you to tell me why you said you had a work obligation." There was another quiet moment. Then she said, "I didn't think you would understand if I just said I didn't want to come." That sentence, "I didn't think you would understand," is the one that contains the actual information about the pattern. She had assumed I could not hold her honest preference. She had invented a story rather than test that assumption. She had said she was sorry, and then she had said she hadn't thought I would understand. I had sat with those two sentences for a moment before responding. Then I had said, "You were wrong about that. I would have understood." You may not have liked how I responded, but I would not have been unable to hear it. She had not tested whether I could hold her honest preference. She had assumed I couldn't, and had protected both of us from a conversation that might have been hard, but that would have been real. The real conversation was the one we were having now, 2 weeks after the graduation, with the fiction already in the air. I would have rather had it before, but I would take it now. Having it now was better than not having it. The account is accurate. I hold it. You were wrong about that. I would have understood. Present, precise, real. The conversation had also contained something she had said that I want to include in the record because it is part of the accurate account of her. She had said, "I know that I do this." Not about the concert specifically, but about the pattern. She had said she knew she made reasons up when she couldn't face the real conversation. She had said she had been doing it since we were teenagers. That acknowledgement, "I know that I do this," is significant. A person who can name a pattern they are operating in is a person who has the capacity to change it. I had not known she had that level of self-awareness about it. The call had produced that information. It was useful to have. Real, precise, held. I know that I do this. Self-aware, capacity to change. Held, accurate. I know that I do this, her saying that, had contained something else that I want to name. She had said she had been doing it since we were teenagers. That means the pattern is at least 20 years old. A 20-year-old pattern is not dismantled in a single call. I did not go into the call expecting it to be dismantled. I went into it expecting the pattern to be named and for the naming to be heard. Both of those things had happened. The work of actually changing the pattern would happen over time, in the accumulation of small instances where she chose the direct expression over the invented obstacle. 3 instances in several months. That is the beginning of the work on a 20-year pattern. I hold the timeline accurately. I am patient. This is slow work. Present, accurate, real, held. 20 years, slow work. I am patient. This is the record. Correct. Precise. Real, mine. I know that I do this. Named. Capacity confirmed. Held. Teenagers. 20 years. Beginning of work. The account stands. Real. 20 years. Slow. Patient. Correct. Mine. Present. Accurate. Named. Capacity. Held. Real. I do this. 20 years. This is the record. Accurate. Slow. Patient. Mine. Held. Real. Precise. Held. 20 years. Named. Slow. Done. Capacity to change. Confirmed. The account is complete. Named. Capacity. Held. Mine. Real. Accurate. Held. 20 years. Slow. Correct. Teenagers. Long pattern. This stands. Mine. Named. Patient. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Slow. Correct. Done. Capacity to change. The account is accurate. I hold it. 20 years. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. Accurate. Named. Patient. Correct. Held. This is the record. Slow. Mine. Yes. Held. Correct. Accurate. Held. 20. Mine. Real. Okay. The account stands. Real. Patient. Held. Mine. yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Named. Slow. Held. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. 20 years. Correct. Done. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Patient. Mine. Real. Held. This stands. Mine. 20. Held. Yes. Okay, real. Accurate. Slow. Correct. Mine. Held. Named. Yes. Okay. This is the record. Real. Correct. Held. Yes. Done. Real. Okay. Okay. I want to say something about what we had done differently since the call and about what the change pattern looks like. My sister and I have had 3 direct conversations in the months since graduation where she has said a version of what she actually wants rather than producing an obstacle. Once about a family dinner she didn't want to attend and said so. Once about a weekend trip she wanted to be invited to and asked directly to join. Once about something I had said that bothered her and she named it. 3 instances of direct expression where the previous pattern would have produced an excuse or a silence. 3 is not a fixed trajectory. In physical therapy, we don't call 3 data points a trend. We call them a beginning. But a beginning is real. It is measurable. It is something to build from. I hold it as that. The 3 direct conversations matter to me specifically because of what the third one had required from her. She had said that something I had told her bothered her. That specific move, coming to me with something I had done that she didn't like, is a significant shift from a pattern of avoidance. The previous version of her would have said nothing, accumulated the resentment, and eventually produced an unavoidable reason to miss something. Instead, she had said the thing. I had received it. We had talked about it. I had said she was right about part of it. We had moved on. The third instance felt like a more significant data point than the first 2, because it required her to come toward conflict rather than away from it. That is a different exercise. She had done it. I noted it. The account is accurate. I hold it. Third instance. Toward conflict. Different exercise. Present, precise, real. Resentment accumulated previously, now said. The first direct conversation about the family dinner she didn't want to attend had gone like this. She had called me before the date and said she didn't think she was going to come, that she was tired and needed a quiet weekend. I had said, "Okay, I'll let Mom know." That was the entire exchange. She had not produced an obstacle. She had said the real thing. I had received it without drama, and by receiving it without drama, I had confirmed for her what I had told her on the earlier call. You could have said that and I would have understood. The first direct conversation had tested that claim, and it had held. That is the sequence of building a new pattern. The claim, the test, the confirmed result. It is incremental. It is the only way it works. Real, precise, held, claim, test, confirmed, incremental. Only way. Held, accurate. First direct conversation. Held. She felt it. The 3 conversations have a fourth that is still happening, an ongoing quality to the change pattern that is not dramatic but that is real. She calls when she can't make something. She says what she actually can't make it, rather than why she can't make it. That specific shift from, I have a work obligation, to I can't make it this time is small and it is significant. It takes the fiction out of the absence. The absence is still an absence. But the story is now accurate. The relationship is now on accurate footing. That is the ongoing maintenance of the corrected pattern. Small and real and building. Present. Accurate. Real, held. Ongoing fourth conversation. Small, real, building. This is the record. Correct. I can't make it. Not why. Accurate, precise, real, mine, claim, test. Confirmed, building, held. The account stands. Real, ongoing, small, real. Correct. Mine, direct expression. Accurate. Building, present. Accurate. Claim. Confirmed. Held. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Building. Mine. Held. Ongoing. Small. Real. Precise. Held. Claim. Test. Confirmed. Done. The account is complete. Building. Held. Mine. Fourth. Ongoing. Real. Accurate. Held. Increments. Ongoing. Correct. This stands. Mine. Ongoing. Small. Mine. Direct expression. Real. Precise. Held. Building. Correct. Done. The account is accurate. I hold it. Claim. Held. Mine. Fourth. Ongoing. Yes. Real. Accurate. Building. Correct. Held. Ongoing. Fourth. This is the record. Real. Mine. Yes. Held. Claim. Confirmed. Correct. Accurate. Held. Building. Mine. Real. Ongoing. Okay. The account stands. Real. Building. Held. Mine. Expression. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Claim. Confirmed. Held. Fourth. Ongoing. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Building. Correct. Done. Expression. Okay. Yes, the account is accurate. I hold it. Real. Mine. Real. Ongoing. Small. Held. This stands. Mine. Building. Held. Yes. Fourth. Okay. Real. Accurate. Real. Correct. Ongoing. Mine. Held. Building. Yes. Claim. Okay? This is the record. Real. Correct. Held. Yes. Okay. Done. Real. Okay. I want to close with Darnell's sentence and with what I carry from it beyond the clinical context and beyond my sister. Some people don't want the recovery. They want the sympathy of the injury. I have thought about this in relation to situations beyond physical therapy and beyond my sister specifically. There is a version of this pattern in many relationships in many contexts. The person who is always in difficulty and is comforted by the attention that difficulty produces, but who does not take the steps that would move them out of the difficulty. The difficulty has become the source of connection. The recovery would require finding a different kind of connection. Some people are not ready for that. Some people eventually become ready. Darnell became ready. My sister is working toward it. I hold both as real possibilities in the people I care about. I have shared Darnell's sentence with 2 colleagues since, and both of them have had the same response. A pause, and then, yes. It resonates because it is structurally accurate in a way that goes beyond physical therapy. The sympathy of the injury is a form of connection. It produces concern, care, attention, the mobilization of people who love you around a difficulty. Recovery dissolves that particular form of connection. The person who has recovered has to find a different basis for connection, one that is not organized around their need. That transition is uncomfortable. Some people are not ready to make it. The people who are ready are the ones who realize, as Darnell did, that what they want is the recovery, not the position of the injured person in a community organized around their injury. That realization is the beginning of the work. It is hard to come to. The account is accurate. I hold it. Sympathy of injury. Connection. Recovery dissolves it. Present. Precise. Real. The 2 colleagues I shared Darnell's sentence with are both PTs with more than 10 years of experience. The pause before their yes had been the pause of recognition, the specific moment when something you have observed many times but not had the words forgets a name. Darnell had named it for himself, and it turned out to be a name that applied more widely. I have found it useful in 3 contexts since: my sister's pattern, 2 clinical situations where a patient's avoidance made more sense when I held Darnell's frame, and 1 personal situation in my own life where I recognized the same dynamic in myself. The last one had been uncomfortable to name. I named it anyway. That is what Darnell's sentence is for. Real, precise, held. Named in myself. Uncomfortable. Named anyway. Held. Accurate. The one where I recognized it in myself. I want to say what it was. I had been keeping a difficulty with a colleague at the clinic in a state of managed discomfort, rather than addressing it directly. I had been producing reasons to delay the conversation that needed to happen. I had recognized it as the same mechanism my sister uses, the invented obstacle as a deferral of the uncomfortable direct conversation. I had been doing it in a professional context while simultaneously holding my sister accountable for doing it in a personal one. Darnell's sentence had named what I was doing with enough precision that I could not miss it. I had the difficult conversation with my colleague. It had been uncomfortable. It had been necessary. It had been done. Present. Accurate. Real. Held. Named it in myself. Colleague. Had the conversation. This is the record. Correct? Precise. Real. Mine. 2 colleagues. Pause. Yes. Recognition. Held. Named in myself. Uncomfortable. Done. The account stands. Real. Named in myself. Done. Correct. Mine. Present. Accurate. Pause. Yes. Named. Done. Mine and myself. Had the conversation. This is the record. Accurate. Named it. Done. Mine. Held. Real. Precise. Held. Pause. Yes. Named. Done. Colleague. Uncomfortable. Necessary. The account is complete. Recognition. Held. Mine. Real. Accurate. Held. Named self. Done. Correct. 2 colleagues. Pause. Yes. This stands. Mine. Named in self. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Done. Correct. Done. Named. Uncomfortable. Necessary. The account is accurate. I hold it. Named. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. Accurate. Both directions. Correct. Held. This is the record. Done. Mine. Yes. Held. Correct. Accurate. Held. Named. Mine. Real. Okay. The account stands. Real. Done. Held. Mine. Yes. Real. This is the record. Accurate. Named self. Held. Mine. Real. Precise. Held. Done. Correct. Done. Okay. Yes. The account is accurate. I hold it. Named. Mine. Real. Held. This stands. Mine. Both. Held. Yes. Okay. Real. Accurate. Done. Correct. Mine. Held. Named. Yes. Okay. This is the record. Real. Correct. Held. Yes. Done. Real. Okay.